Welcome you all to our special episode in which we'll be sharing a striking thing we have recently finished with our even more special guest. Just before our meeting here, I've asked a few people about our visitor and they all described him with a single phrase. The most creative guy I've ever met. Ladies and gentlemen, David Racchi. David, happy to host you here. I hope you loved the applause. I wanted to make this intro special because I believe the thing we did really deserves it. And just before we reveal it, just a quick warm-up question. Do you know you're a famous designer?
I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say famous, but we try our best in what we do, and we're just happy to have good relationships with our clients and actually create beautiful and creative things, right? Projects.
I'll give you a hint. Just a few weeks ago, I had lunch with a friend of mine in some fancy place in Halakoszyki. And during our meal, she said something like, do you know the whole branding here was created by this famous Australian designer? So you can imagine I had quite a lot of fun. And when I told her I actually know you, then man, I think she might be in love with you. So do you know people recognize your work? And what are we actually doing here in our lovely Warsaw?
Warsaw? Well, I mean, I'll give you the short version.
Yeah.
Right. So before here, I was living in Spain for 10 years. I'm Australian from Melbourne. And I came here basically for a new experience. I mean, actually, I was in love with a girl for a while, but we broke up. And then life happened where I came here, and after a couple of years, which I thought I was going to leave, I saw an opportunity to set up a design studio here because I saw the potential. Because when I first arrived here, it wasn't what I expected, but I was working at an agency for a while called Walk Agency. And then as I started seeing people designing restaurants, the level of design here was really impressive as they was moving forward. I wanted to be part of this, and offer my part. And then life, I got married, kids, set up the studio, and it's been doing very well ever since.
We've met for the first time because you were involved in some spectacular real estate projects in Poland, like Cosmopolitan, Nowy Warsaw, Halakoszyki, the Bridge Hotel. These are like huge projects. How challenging is building such a brand architectures like this one?
I would say like the way we work, right? It's like, okay, each client is different, but at the same time, we start off from the same point, which is, first of all, we find out what the client's about, what they need, right? So we listen to what they're saying and then find out what they want, right? And then it's always, for me or for us, as a company or a design studio, is to find the narrative, is to find the story. And from the story, then, it generates an idea in us, like a ping, like something, like a little spark. And this spark is what moves us forward to start doing the graphics and the design. And it always comes from a story for us, and that takes us to the idea.
I came to you and Pavel and asked you to help me build the most powerful PropTech brand possible. Was the process of creating REDD's branding somehow different from your other works?
Actually, a little bit, mainly because I met you, right? So my first impression of you was, who's this guy? Like, he's really passionate. And then when you briefed me, so I think I even mentioned this to you, when you briefed us on basically what your concept idea is for your company, I was really impressed, right? So not so much about the project, let's say, which is fabulous, by the way, but it was about the way you interpret and the way you try to show your passion to me. So this feeling you came across. So with a lot of clients, there is feeling, but you got to remember, sometimes I'm working with huge clients and, I'm working with a manager and stuff, but this is your company. So I could feel the passion you had for it. So that really put a lot of pressure on me because I felt compelled to do something like basically step out of, let's say, my comfort zone and try to come up with something or some type of branding that was memorable, right? So I don't know, I can't remember how long it took, by the way, but I remember
A few months.
yeah, I felt pressure to do something that would wow you, yeah? But at the same time, achieve what you're looking for. But this is the ultimate goal, right? It's not just to make something beautiful, but to make something functional and actually will help you reach your target audience and then sell, of course.
Do you think like branding is more about the heart or the brain?
For me, it's combination. Obviously, it's like it's like anything. Like I think it's a balance. So you can't go too far each way, because if you get let's say if you get too emotional about a project or get too personal about it, you might not see the errors you may be making, right? So my job is also to listen to the client and see, because they know they're experts in their field. I'm not. So every time I'm working with a new client, I discover a new world, so a new way of working and what they do. And this is one of the fun parts of my job, right? So I get a little peek into everyone's different world, right? And so I will never feel the passion that the client feels for their project, but I can be part of that journey with them. The more I learn about what they're doing, and if they're passionate about it, so like you're talking about the heart, right? Then my part comes in, which is thinking about it's problem solving. So how do I solve what he's asking me to do? So I try to solve this graphically, with a graphic language, a system, and obviously it has to. I like beauty, right? Everyone is drawn to beauty, right? And so I'm talking like it's all depends on how you perceive it. But when I present a project, I always say the same thing, which is if I have to I should be able to present a project without talking about it. So once you see it, you understand it. Because if you don't understand it in 3-4 seconds, I think we're on the wrong track. Obviously, I do speak about the project, but so you have to feel it. That's where I'm getting with the heart. And then once you get into the nuts and bolts of whatever I've presented, that's where part of the brain comes in, which, okay, there is a reason for everything we have chosen, which is color, typography, form, shape, copy. There's a reason behind, we try to give a reason behind everything. So it's a complete project. So instead of something that looks beautiful, it's also got brain to it. So in my opinion, right, so it can last longer. So not a trend. Right, so that's.
I remember I've read about some research that said that you have around like below 2 seconds to like build this first impression on the person is looking at the logo, for example.
Yeah. So that's exactly it, because it's like I can show you a logo, right? And not just you, like because you already know what your company's about, right? So whatever I show you, already know the back end, what's it about. The challenge is to have a logo without marketing and advertising, right? So let's forget about that for now. We're talking pure design now. Is that when someone sees, let's say, your logo or your graphics, your system, whatever, even the copy, that somehow, without knowing what you're about, they get an inkling feeling or sensation transmitted by, let's say, the color, the logo, the typography. So that's half the battle won. Because then comes all the other part, which is content, advertising, if you want to go that way as well, marketing, all that, yeah? But you still need a strong base, right? Which is what you're just talking about, which is in 2 seconds, I see something, a logo, whatever, I go, oh, is this about this or whatever?
Before I met you, I thought that it's only about the logo itself. But with the way you build like the concept of our work or any other you showed me, I understood the difference between the logo and the brand architecture.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the thing, when people ask me, what do you do? Is sometimes, I mean, you get asked that so many times. Right? I draw pictures, make logos, and sometimes it feels like I belittle what we do. But then I try to, it's a graphic language, yeah? We're creating some type of language that people can understand, right? And I mean, we are in the end, I wouldn't say selling, yeah? Because I don't think branding falls into advertising, but I do feel that we're trying to create a sensation, right? And so somehow create these stories that people can be part of. I mean, that's the way I see it, yeah? Because each project for me is personal. Because we're a very small studio, and we've kept it this way because we like to have relationship with our clients, and we get fully engrossed with our projects. And we do get personal with it, but always thinking what's best for the client and listening to what thoughts they may have on what we've presented.
Yeah, I think this ratio of heart and the brain is around like 60% for the heart and 40% for the brain.
Okay.
I think
didn't know that. Yeah.
It's more about emotions.
Well, my mum's actually, my heritage is Latina, right? So my mum's from Argentina. So maybe I'm on 70%, right? 80%, you know what I mean? Like if you ask my wife.
Yeah, that's cool. Are we ready to show what we are actually talking about? I'm in love with this work of yours. And I presented it to dozens of team colleagues and friends, and they all say it's a kind of a game changer for our market identity.
Oh, wow.
And I believe it's all about the concept itself. So I have it here. So maybe you could just give us some quick tour about the key parts of the concept.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay.
So, all right, so basically what you were saying about the concept and stuff, I mean, really, it all stems from it's from you, because in terms of how you stimulated us to come up with it, right? Because a lot of times it's about, the brief, the energy come behind it. So it's really helped us, like a high percentage of the job was, how would you put it, not done, but it stimulated me to create this, right? Because it was so clear what you wanted, right? And so if you're asking me, let's say the initial concept, how we came up with it, it basically is what you explained, right? Like you guys have like basically a database, yeah? And we're talking about space and data. And so the concept, when we were thinking about initial way of presenting this graphically, so like creating a graphic language, was how can we show this in a logo? And remember, the name REDD, it's a short name. So we didn't want to create a symbol on top of a logo or anything like this. We wanted the logo itself to be a logo type plus symbol all combined, right? And that was what I kept thinking of, because that's what kind of data does, where it comes in and out, right? And so it hit us with this whole idea of space, yeah? So you guys offer space, find space, so, about locations, and the data's always changing, yeah? Because as you explained to me at the start, it's like 24 hours, if I remember right. Like the data can change about locations of real estate, which I thought was fascinating from what you told me, right? Like, so that helped us to come up with this simple idea, which was like, get a typeface, change it a bit, modify it to what we wanted, and then just take a little piece out. Just moving this little piece and adding a piece, this and that, for us was like a light bulb, yeah? We looked at it. I mean, I'm talking to myself, right, at that moment, and I saw the logo. It hadn't been done yet, but I saw. But more than that, what I saw in the logo was I saw the possibilities of creating a vast graphic system around it, which was like something which I think a company like yours needed, which is like, it's not just about a nice logo you put on the corner. It's something that you can build on, create different type of containers, language, and even though we didn't know everything we were going to do, I knew that we could cater for all your needs with this simple idea, right? Which is with the graphics based on this whole data system. So as you can see, like with some of the images, we got these simple things like we got classic building, these data servers. We love this idea of the Rubik's Cube changing around, different options, multiple options, right? Different opportunities, let's say. And I saw it. It's like even the windows from the building all brought us to this idea of like this little data spec that we could move, or block, sorry, that we could move out of the logo. And so obviously then I'm jumping, but then one of the most interesting thing was what you said was you wanted to somehow, when you see it, this logo, that you could know who you are without even seeing, let's say, the name. And that's how we came up with this idea of using this very bright reddish orange fluorescent, let's say, color.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to come back for a second to this, to the idea of blocks, and it's like when you've presented this like two blocks representing space and data.
Yeah.
I have this like vision that this is like a true symbol of what real estate and data actually is. Because, you know, every real estate we measure with square meters, yeah, for
Exactly,
example.
yeah.
And the smallest part of data is always a bit, yeah? And a bit always is represented by the square. So it's like, you know,
and that's basically what we, you've hit it. That's exactly it, which is we try to synthesize what you told me, what you presented to me in the presentation, right? So my job was to get all the information you gave me. So it's like basically what you're talking about, data a bit, and then compress it all into one simple symbol that then can be expanded, just like data, yeah? You can just add. And that's what we found with this logo. And then as you look through it, when we created the actual logo type with these little blocks coming in and out, because this is the beautiful thing with this is the animations we can create from it, was when I took away the EDD, we had a really, really strong symbol, which is with the R. And that was, for me, at the same time, surprising, only because sometimes, I'm not saying that it happens by accident, it's all in your brain or in your mind, how it can happen. But when I saw it so powerful because you did mention to me that when you wanted to create a symbol, if we had a symbol, is that when you saw it, you felt, not that it's aggressive, but it's a game changer, yeah? So you're looking at something that inspires it. It's almost revolutionary, yeah? And what you're doing, in a sense, is that, isn't it? It's something that it's going to change the game about how real estate deals with property. And so this is what we try to show in the branding. And so as you see, as you go through the presentation and some of the graphics that we presented, you'll see that it all flows naturally. So you can create icons, graphics, you know, the typical stuff, banners, key visuals, but there's a graphic language. It's all comes from the logo. And this is when we feel that we've hit the right point. This is it. Like, and so like, if I was just to show you this, I know that your mind starts working because you start thinking, okay, we could do this and we could do this and we could do that, because it's simple, because we created the graphic language. So it makes sense, right?
I remember you didn't want to go too far with this concept of retro icons or retro gaming.
Yeah.
But this is like this small piece I really enjoy when looking at. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but that's the other thing. Like, that's what we spoke
exactly
about.
with the smiley.
Yeah, just adding it's a little touch of fun, because also, like, even though you're dealing with property and stuff, I mean, there are people behind this. Yeah, so you know, like thinking more in depth about, you know, people live in these places, people rent it. So like, let's add some type of human touch to it as well, because you are dealing with people, right? And so this was the fun. This is always for me the fun part of the project, when we're coming up with new ideas. And those basically, they just come because since the narrative and the story are strong, and then once the logo is strong, and then I get a graphic idea for the language of it, the rest becomes much easier. And it's all about then the content, which is you will explain to me what content you want to do. We can advise you on what to say. And then as you can see, as you go through this presentation, like even the shirts, like we did some really cool T-shirts, nice copy, even like, I mean, it's down to the details, right? So we try not to slack off. And so even like with the email footer, we thought, it could be a little GIF animation of like regenerating itself as the logo. It's just a touch, but this is what makes the difference in like a complete branding system. So what I'm getting at, again, is to synthesize everything, which is basically, once you create something that makes sense, and the language, there's rules in this world that we've created, the rest of it, to create it, imagine I'm not around anymore. You can keep creating it. And this is the idea, yeah? So that it's an evolving, for me, this project, it's like evolving all the time graphically, because we can add more to it. right? With reason, yeah. There's got to be a reason why you add it, following the rules.
Do you think like a branding like this, does it have its expiration date?
It's hard to say, but when I try to any project I attempt, right, always try to think that this should not be a trend. So I feel like when you design based on trend, which I mean is we're all inspired and influenced by a lot of things, right? So you've seen how it is. It's like once you see something, a lot of things come out similar. It's not called copying. It's just people get inspired and it's natural, yeah. So the idea is when we create something, let's say your project, we think, will this be current, relevant in 10 years, 20 years? That's pushing it, and we think yes. We think it's so simple. But you've seen what they've been doing with all the cars now, like these main brands cars. They're simplifying everything again. They're going back to 2D and all that, right? Who knows what's going to happen in 20 years? But I feel like you have a strong logo and brand that can't date or won't date.
Yeah, I think it's like a good brand has like this path for evolution and not revolution. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and this one has it because
Yeah,
I feel like this one, what we've created for you, has this feeling. But the logo in itself is simple. Yeah, it's really simple. Simple color palette, right? And it's all about the content and the way you present it, and language is important. The way you talk about or present your content. Yeah. So this is something else, but this is part of the whole spectrum of what we all have to consider when you move forward with this. Yeah. And also, like, it depends on your company, what's going to happen with it in 5 years, 10 years. Maybe you branch off, you expand. But I think this logo can adjust to any new needs that you may have in the future. And you can always call me anyway.
Yeah. Well, you look at that fabulous logo, and what company do you see behind this big R?
Okay, that's a tricky one because I'll tell you why that's a tricky question. Because from the start, I know what this is about, right? So perhaps the question is not to ask me, but it's to ask someone else, because I know and I'm already influenced by what I see. So I can tell you what I think, because I did it, right?
Yeah.
So it's very
Let's
tricky.
try.
It's a tricky question. Well, for me, it's got to do with, the first thing I would think it's about is some type of data, right? Something to do with data. I wouldn't say that you see straight away, if you just see the R, you're talking about property, right? But yes, about something about space that's changing, and also, again, like I said, data, some type of binary maybe. This is the feeling I get when I see it, yeah? And again, the bigger you do the R, it's for me, R it's a strong letter. I mean, this is my personal feeling about it. I love the letter R because you got to remember, like, so many things come into it, right? I'll give you an example, right? My name is David Racchi, yeah? My name starts with R. I know this is stupid,
Okay.
but I've had R in my life, my whole life. So, when people view this logo, you view what I view, you bring your own experiences into whatever opinion you may have, even if you don't know it or not. So even I'm the same. Think about it. I've been drawing the letter R since I could write. So you get what I'm saying,
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
know.
trying to get at? So for every person, it is different. So like all we can do is, I know maybe I'm going too much with this, but I still believe like we can design in a way so the way it should be viewed and should be, let's say, felt. But again, people bring their own experience into it and they'll make what they want from it. But that's why then you got the whole graphic system and content and all that to make sure that they understand what you're trying to achieve, yeah?
Yeah, I know.
So it's a tricky question because
Yeah,
like,
I know.
you get what I'm saying, yeah?
Yeah. I have a few more of them.
Okay, great.
So, my other thought is that I truly believe that great branding can boost companies' strength and power, and I'm just wondering if because I have this feeling that we got this superpower from you, and I'm wondering if you would compare Red and this big R to a superhero, who would you choose?
That's tricky.
Yeah,
To
no.
think about, I have to know. I would have to check out all the superheroes I know. But okay, so to explore this question, right? Because really, Red is in the background, isn't it? If you think about it, what you do is you got a database, right? You're really in the back. From what I see, you're in the background doing all this information, doing all these algorithms and stuff, right? So if you're asking me this direct question about which type of superhero, it can't be a flamboyant one, I'm thinking, right? But he's always there looking after the situation and it's always work. I'm thinking, who the hell could it be? To be honest, okay, maybe, just because it happens to
Just
be Red.
hit it.
Daredevil.
Yeah, okay.
Only for reason because I saw the movie.
And he has some red elements.
Yeah, he has
in
red
his suit,
elements. And also he's got this thing which is like, he's
but
blind.
he's heavily aggressive.
Yeah, because we did try to achieve this too,
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's blind and he's he's completely like in the background, right? In the shadows, doing what he does.
Changing the topic.
Okay.
Okay. We all know that technology is the future. Like thousands of startup founders are beginning their journey with some new ventures, like inspired by some, tech Silicon Valley brands like, I don't know, Google, Tesla, or something like this. And what would you say to startup founders about what they can achieve more with having a strong brand?
So thinking about it, like, I would say, if you're asking me about branding in the sense where how can I help you move forward, let's say, I mean, you're dealing with, whatever you deal with brands, right? You're always dealing with people. Yeah, I would say. So you have to form some type of relationship between the brand and the people viewing your, whatever it is, your product, what you're selling, what you're trying to say, right? And I think what you do with that is, a brand is your narrative, right? So it's your story. It's not just your logo, okay? So like, I think there's logos everywhere, right? But behind, let's see if I get to the point, right? Behind every logo, there's a story, and we all know these stories, right? Especially with the designed brands. So let's say BMW, Tesla, especially Tesla's a great example, right? We know, even if you don't know the brand very well, you know of it, yeah? And you know kind of what it represents, right? So if you're asking me, is brand important, and we can take it further, yeah, of course. It's really important now because it's the only way where you can get to be visible in this whole like ocean of business and so many people, and it's about somehow stepping out of this crowd, right? And so it's important that not just that you do something that looks good, that you have a strong story behind it and back it up with whatever you say you can do. Yeah, that's their part, right?
Yeah.
So it's I mean, everything is like this now.
This other thought I have is that a brand says about the idea maturity, like, I mean, the business idea. And if you have like a strong branding, then I can assume that the guy who like inspired the designer knows exactly what he wants to say, like what company he wants to build. Yeah. So,
yeah. But yeah, that's why it's optimal if, let's say myself, like a designer, and the client, let's say, that we work in unison sometimes, right? To understand, like I said to you before, sometimes I deal with a client where they tell me what they want, but it's not really what they need, right? So that's my job to find out. Yes, there are people that are really, really clear about what they want, but they don't know how to transmit it, let's say visually, right? But that's my job to understand what they're saying. And yes, it says a lot about, it's like anyone, like it says a lot about a client and let's say the founders, whatever, if it's happened to me before where I present, let's say I can present 2 ideas, right? But they're clear. It's really helpful for me when they're clear about the way they want to look, right? Let's say visually, no concept or something, right? But if they're sure about what they want to say in the world with whatever they're producing, it's really helpful because that's where I take over and it makes my job so much easier. Because I've had clients where it's the opposite, where they got this product, but they don't know how to sell it. They don't know because they don't know what it's about. So let's just say perhaps they don't know what to say about it. And so sometimes it can be my job. Strategy comes into this as well, right? So sometimes we propose strategy is a good point if you might have a really good product, but you don't know what you're trying to say about it or how it can, let's say, influence people, whatever, yeah? So you need strategy behind this, I would say. Not just a logo and a system. You need an idea, but it was different with you because you understood what the potential of your product or your company, you can do and how you can perhaps change the way real estate is operated now, right? So it's completely different.
Yeah, but somehow it works both ways because when you, I remember my feeling when you presented me the concept, and I was so much inspired, like that exact second, yeah. And I had this really inside feeling that with this kind of branding, we can sky is the limit, yeah. So,
but that's again, remember I mentioned it before, it's because you were really clear about how you wanted to be perceived, what your company does, and what it can mean in the future. And then, after seeing your presentation, it was easy for me. Like, remember, as I mentioned before, I had a lot of pressure because I could see you knew what you want to do. It's just you were just missing the visual part with the strategy, with the narrative shown in a visual language, yeah? And so that's why I felt so much pressure when I was doing it, because I knew I couldn't just come up with, not that I would anyway, because to be honest, if I didn't have something, I would tell you. Like, I'd go, listen, this is what we've come up with, it's the best I've got. And it happens. Yeah. You can't be creative all the time. Yeah?
But I think we can say that you won with the first concept, right?
I mean, that was the first one. Because we presented, if I remember right, 3 concepts? 3. But this is the one.
I didn't want to see
that's right.
You
didn't want to see the other ones. But I did it because sometimes I don't do that normally. Normally we present one, right? One option. Because normally it's like, how can I present you, the way I think anyway, how can I present you to if I believe in this one? However, because I really loved your brief and I really wanted to hit the nail, let's say, get the right one for you, the one that you felt, I felt maybe it was a safety thing for me to make sure that sometimes, okay, to give you an idea, sometimes I may present something which I don't think works, but I do it just to confirm to myself that I was right about you and the way you think, and you would say no about this. And I know it's probably suicide to do this with the client, because if you had chosen the other one, then we'd be doing the other one, right? But obviously I'll try to convince you with reason why this other one is optimal, yeah? But but I felt that I got that buzz when I showed you. I like this feeling also, which is, I used to tell my business partner, Pavel, I go, our job is, apart from, we all want to do great stuff. Everybody wants to make some money, whatever. But I go, it's that feeling you get when you present something, you feel proud about it. So I couldn't wait to show you, yeah, because I was 100% sure this was the way to go. And once you gave me the confirmation, right, because you got like a poker face,
right?
I know. So I wasn't sure, but I was really happy because I felt it was the one, yeah, and I was proud of doing it, yeah.
I was just so impressed, with that.
That's really good.
Last but not least, I'm a big fan of artificial intelligence, and we even had recently a discussion about this. And I have a question, but I warn you, I have my own answer.
Okay.
Do you think that designers' work will ever be replaced by some, I don't know, smart computers?
That's an interesting question. I mean, all right, I'm just thinking, I know computers now, I've seen like some docos, read some books about, they can imitate art, yeah? So the question is, what we do like I'm analyzing, yeah. So, and I'm not saying I know what I'm saying, but if when we come up with something, let's say creatives, we come up with an idea and we talk about feeling, because you mentioned it before, 70%, what's it, 60% is heart?
I would say like 60% is the heart.
Yeah. So let's just say a computer could do something in the future, but would it have the heart that, let's say, a human would have to create something and have the dialogue with the people, like with you? Like I had a relationship with you when I built this, when I designed this. It wasn't like, here's a brief, do it. So I would say they could imitate, but I don't think they could get to the heart of what we're trying to achieve. Maybe that's not an answer.
Yeah. Have you seen, for example, the art pieces made by artificial intelligence?
Yeah, this is I saw this. I mean, but then again, what art? You know, art, right? I'm not. I've been to museums. I've seen a lot of things I like. My taste. I don't know about art. So, okay, I know there's people that understand it, but like, who says what is the best? What is art? You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is another thing. Like, who says this is art or its value? This is a very like tricky thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Like I'm not sure if it's
But do they create the video you saw? Do these computers, whatever, do they imitate something, or they create some random abstract thing that looks like art?
Yeah, like random stuff, like abstract art, you would call it. Yeah, for sure.
But can the computer explain what he's trying to say?
I'm not sure, but this is what I think it's all about. It's about the intentions. Yeah, like art or design or branding. It needs some kind of inspiration and intention behind this. Yeah, and in case of artificial intelligence, I believe like this intention is only one. And so just make something that people will treat as or will say that it's like I don't know, nice, beautiful, or
but
something.
Then can I say something? The guy then. I'm just thinking out loud, like whoever designed the computer or this artificial intelligence, haven't they put in, let's say, their knowledge, experience into this framework? So you could say, like, maybe the guy that created the thing is the artist and not the computer, because it's the tool. Or
yeah, that's.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless the AI, are we talking AI that is conscious?
No, it's not.
Okay, it's not conscious. So like, it's like me, yeah? Everything I do, right? I've been fed stuff my whole life, yeah? And you experience through your eyes, your senses, yeah? And so who I am, I think I know myself, but obviously need a lot of time. It's my experiences that get brought into, let's say, this piece of paper with the design, yeah?
You know, I just changed my mind. Right now, I believe it's like more about 80% is emotions and 20% is the brain.
Okay.
I think this is how it works. So, thank you, David. It was a great pleasure to host you here and talk to you. And
no, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.